my god, they've gone and done it. They've recreated the Rockman, and it's now in a pedal. This is the Rockman X100 from MXR. So I believe because of the X100 designation, they were going for the 84 version of the original Rockman headphone amp. Just a little history. The Rockman came out in 1982, and there was multiple different versions of it. There was the original Rockman, and then there was the Guitar Ace, and the bass version, the Soloist, and they had some different features across the line. But the X100 that came out in 84 is actually the one that I got when I was a kid. And I always had fun with that thing. It was great. There's basically like two different modes for clean sounds, clean 1, clean 2, and they have distinctively different tones. One's a little bit more scooped, and the other one's a little bit more neutral, I would say. And then there's the classic edge setting. That's for your kind of rhythm crunch, and then the distortion setting for full-on sustainy leads like you heard me do in the song at the beginning of the video where I was trying to go full Tom Scholtz. So of course Tom Scholtz, the creator of the Rockman, also the founder of the band Boston, he had a really, really unique guitar sound back in the day. I mean, he was such a bright guy. Kind of maybe, I think, the most radical guitar sound up until Eddie Van Halen came along, maybe. It was heavily distorted, really, really mid-range centric, and he got there by, you know, various means. I mean, it was like Marshall heads cranked up but loaded down with a device that he also designed, which was called the Power Soak. Basically like a resistive load box, and it had a tone. It definitely wasn't transparent. And I think that's part of where that signature sort of Boston sound came from. That resistive load that he was running Marshalls into, and it would get quite mid-rangey. And he kind of used it to his advantage. Created a signature tone all his own. So yeah, I believe the Rockmans were kind of the attempt to kind of bottle that sound and put it in a small device that you could, you know, literally walk around with like headphones on and play through. So this pedal version is, I believe, meant to be run like an original Rockman right into a recording interface or maybe into a headphone amp. You could run it right into a PA or a full range speaker or a recording interface, something like that. So to do this whole video, I had it plugged into my UA recording interface right into the line inputs. Guitar straight in, out to the recorder. Now on the inside, if you take this back panel off, loosen these 4 screws and take this off, there's a little switch that'll let you switch it from stereo to mono operation, so you can use it either way. It comes set to mono, so I had to open it up and switch it to stereo, and then I used a TRS cable on the output, which split out to 2/4 inch guitar cables for left and right, and that's why you were hearing the stereo imaging, the full-on Rockman stereo chorus. Speaking of the chorus, that is the only effect that's included here, which is one difference from the original. The original units had echo, and I believe maybe there was a reverb effect as well. Anyway, they've eliminated that on this unit, and it's just got the chorus effect in there on this push button here, so you can turn that on and off. Other controls here, you got this push button here to go between clean 1, clean 2, the edge and distortion settings. It just cycles through when you push it. And then you got a volume slider there for overall volume and an input gain slider. And this is interesting because the more that you push that up, the more you drive into, especially the compression circuit on the clean sounds, and also just into the overdrive circuit, I think. And the sound just gets more and more compressed the more you turn it up and squished, but it's that real Rockman-esque thing that we heard on classic recordings by Def Leppard, like the whole Hysteria album, that was Rockman. Steve Stevens' Flesh for Fantasy, all that cool, funky, super vibey, like what a vibe, guitar parts and sounds, killer track. Joe Satriani, Not of This Earth, Rockman, and countless others. I mean, they were just used by everybody back then, including me, my like 12 or 13-year-old self. So I'm gonna play some more through it. I'm gonna solo some of those parts outside the mix so you can clearly hear the tones. Let's check it out. It's the Rockman X100 from MXR. So I'm on the edge setting now. This is the overdrive setting, and it is that tone from it just feels so good to do that, I didn't want to stop. Once again, I got the chorus on because you just have to, but let me turn it off. It's not the same without it. Now, I'm not sure if the compressor is still on or not. I would assume the compression circuit is still active, even with the overdrive. You don't notice as much because there's a lot of distortion happening, even in the edge mode, which is the lower overdrive of the 2 overdrive modes. Now, you're going to notice there's like this very mid-rangey sound to this unit, but that was always the sound. And the mid-range is part of what makes the guitar just sit in the mix. It's amazing. Like we hear recording with it right now. I mean, it's, you know, it's a Rockman, but it's like, it's also a sound that just sits in the mix. So I think it'd be cool for like a new generation of guitarists to discover this and use it when appropriate for like those tones where you just want it to be in there and it can be kind of loud, but it's not getting in the way of the bass. It's not getting in the way of the keys. It just does its own thing in the mix. So you'll notice that about it. It's like a solid state version of... You know, it's almost like that sound. You know what I mean? It kind of sounds like that, almost. Like that really centered in the mids, almost like an AC30, but it's totally solid state and not an AC30. But frequency-wise, not dissimilar, maybe, I think. I just did the lead stuff, the volume's all the way up, the input gain's all the way up, the chorus is on, I'm on the distortion setting. Come on, it's 1979 up in here. It's fantastic. Or at least 1987. I was a fan of the Boston Third Stage album that came out in 87, and I think it's all Rockman. You know, before that, he was doing stuff still with his Marshalls and Scholtz power soaks and stuff like that and getting the sound. And the Rockman was basically, I think, the result of him trying to put that tone into a small little headphone amplifier. And you know, he was so successful with it, they ended up making these little modules as well as the X100B and stuff and kind of bottled that sound. But in the analog world, it's interesting. It's really kind of like early modeling almost. But he was modeling like his own bizarre sort of rig tone that he got through multiple different chains of things. That's kind of neat. He like bottled his own guitar sound and put it in a little headphone amp for the rest of the world to use. So for the clean stuff, and I'm going to do the clean stuff on this Yaren LP because, I don't know, full Tom Scholtz mode, cleans and all that. I'm on the clean 2 setting right now. There's clean 1 and clean 2. This is clean 2, which is sort of the darker and fuller sounding of the two. And the chorus is on. There's a ton of compression. It sounds like this. That's why I'm not a singer. All right, sorry, I had to. The part goes something like that, right? And it sounds like it. It really, really does. Let's hear what clean 1 sounds like in comparison. You know, that thing. It's just got that sound to it, doesn't it? And it's timeless. So the more you push up this slider right here, this input gain slider, the more you're going to push into the compression. And get more compression. So... I'm singing it. I don't know why. I'll get my 70s singing on in this video. But anyways, let's turn off the chorus and see what that sounds like. Just super kind of dark DI. Let's hear it without the chorus in clean 1. Right? Sounds like that. So the chorus definitely adds the mojo and it's just fun and, you know, you kind of need it. But you know, it's super DI, super compressed, super 70s basically, or super 80s, I guess. So, one thing to note here is that there's a dip switch on the inside, or not really a dip switch, just more like a little mini switch. That's when you take the back panel off. That'll switch the unit from stereo to mono. So if you want to use it in stereo, you take the back panel off, flip that little switch, and then you can use a TRS to 2/4 inch kind of scenario here where it splits out, kind of like an insert cable. It's stereo and their TRS on this end, and then split to 2 guitar cables and go into your interface or whatever. It sounds pretty great. That's the basic idea on the clean stuff. Super DI, but this does have a place. Think about uses like if you were doubling, maybe with an acoustic guitar, you know, like an arpeggiated thing, and you could use maybe a 12-string acoustic and double, and, you know, use a sound like this, and then maybe layer a thicker, you know, darker guitar underneath or something. You get this great big blended sound with sparkle on the top and all this pick clarity and stuff, and then all this compression in the middle to kind of make the part poke through. It's pretty cool. Thanks MXR for bringing back this classic. I mean, I love the tones. To me, it's timeless. It's not a tube amp, it's the furthest thing from it in some ways, but you know, it's still a great sound and a unique sound, and something that I think I'll definitely find use for. Certainly for layering parts, and just anytime I need like that journey straight back to the 80s. Check it out further, the link's down there in the video description below. Click there, it'll take you to more info about the Rockman X100 from MXR. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Pete Thorne. Take care.